The place that I chose for my photo history project is the International Doghouse in Jackson, Michigan. It has been a part of my life for pretty much my entire life. What interested me most was how small local restaurants have survived for decades despite, economic changes, rising costs, and changing things within the community. How has the business adapted to changing economic conditions? What decisions helped it survive for nearly half a century? What can the history of local restaurant teach us about sustainability and resilience? Using Diamond's inquiry approach from collapse, I examined environmental, economic, social factors that shaped the history of the business. Here in this first photo, we have what was called Harold's Lunch. My grandpa purchased it in 1975. His goal was to transform the location into his own restaurant called the Green Onion, and this moment kind of represented the beginning of the story. Purchase the existing building. This is one example of reusing infrastructure rather than developing new stuff on new land. Sustainability often involves finding new uses for existing resources, and this building would go through several transformations over the decades. In this next photo, we have a picture of the sign for the Green Onion. It didn't achieve the success, like I said, that he hoped for. I think that this stage of the story kind of demonstrates one of the most important principles of sustainability, which is adaptation. Rather than abandoning the location, when he first, struggled with the business, he looked for new ways to meet the community needs. I think many businesses fail because they can't adjust to changing circumstances. The willingness to change direction would become an important factor in the restaurant's long-term success. And then in December of 1979, the International Doghouse officially opened. It gained popularity pretty quick. It offered, affordable food and fast service. With the affordable food section of it, it's, able to develop strong connections within the community. The social connections are an important part of sustainability because successful communities depend on gathering places where people can interact and build relationships. The success of the restaurant demonstrates how understanding community needs can contribute to long-term viability. Next, we have another expansion, Jackson County Fair. This was between 80 and 83. This expansion demonstrated entrepreneurial thinking and the desire to reach new customers. However, with increasing rental costs, be financially unsustainable at the fair location. This part of the history highlights how economic pressures influence sustainability. Diamond in Collapse discusses how societies and organizations often struggle when external pressures increase. So rising costs force difficult decisions, but also encourage innovation. Next up, we get to about 84 to 91, which are the push cart years. After leaving the fair, my grandpa introduced what became one of the most memorable parts of the business's history, which was the push cart. We had a location that was just right downtown. People would come in on their lunch. Operating a smaller mobile business required, fewer resources, lower overhead costs. The push cart allowed the business to remain visible within the community while adapting to changing economic realities. This also demonstrated, just resilience and flexibility, qualities that Diamond, identifies as important for long-term survival of a business. In 89 to 92, we had a second downtown location that opened. The downtown location represented another attempt to grow the business and serve a larger customer base. Although it did eventually close in 92, the experience kind of, illustrates how business continuously experiment and adapt in response to changing conditions. Not every expansion succeeds, but sustainability often requires trying new approaches and learning from both successes and failures. I have another photo here of the old Doghouse building. By late 1990s to early 2000s, the business had become an established part of the community. The building itself reflected decades of use and local history. So the longevity of the structure demonstrates, the value of maintaining and utilizing existing community assets rather than constantly replacing them. So then about 2002, my grandpa decided to demolish the old building and construct the modern one that stands today. This was one of the most significant moments in the restaurant's history because the new building allowed the business to better serve the customers while continuing its role within the community. The investment also demonstrates confidence in the future of the business and surrounding neighborhood. Here are some photos of the International Doghouse today. It continues to serve customers for more than 4 decades after it first opened. It supports and contributes to the local economy and provides a gathering place for community members. Another quick thing that I thought was really interesting was I found a photo of the gas station that had the prices. The photograph shows that it was about $1.62 for a gallon, and then the photo that I took today was $4.39 a gallon. So yeah, this comparison, illustrates just how dramatically economic conditions have changed over the time. So rising fuel prices affect transportation, food costs, supply chains, operating expenses, all these things that businesses have to worry about. Despite these challenges, the International Doghouse continues to operate successfully, demonstrating resilience in the face of economic change. The history of the International Doghouse reflects many of the themes discussed by Jared Diamond. Success depends on the ability to adapt to changing conditions. You're able to respond to the economic pressures that are there, and you're able to maintain strong community relationships. Throughout its history, the business changed from, Harold's Lunch to the Green Onion, then to the International Doghouse, expanded to the fair, opened a push cart, opened another location, and eventually, rebuilt in 2002. These changes show that sustainability is not simply about maintaining the status quo, but sustainability requires adaptation, innovation, and resilience. Today, I see the International Doghouse as more than just a restaurant. It's a story of entrepreneurship, community support, and the ability to adapt over time. Its history demonstrates how local businesses can survive and thrive when they remain connected to the people that they serve.